All right, let's get started. Let's start with a word of prayer, and we'll get right into it. Father, thank you for this time. We get to learn more about the church live stream, reaching people with the gospel and with our church services. Lord, I pray you would help us as we learn today. Lord, I pray you help us as we seek to make a difference in our world, Lord. And in this method, Lord, I pray you'd help us, give us wisdom. I pray you help me as I present, Lord. I praise in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, welcome. So how many here are here for the session? And if you're in the back there, could I ask you to make your way to your session, please? And we see here, beginning with church live stream. Bring the volume up. Could you run back there? To begin talking about church live stream, I thought the best place to start would be our philosophy of live stream. Why do we live stream? Why do we invest the money into that? Why do we take the time to do that? And I believe we see here it's ministry first, not technology. It's ministry first, technology second. Some church live streams that I see their live streams are so elaborate and so showy and produced, and it's good to have good quality, but sometimes it becomes the focus of the ministry. It becomes that all the money is invested into it. So I believe that it's ministry first. It means we're serving people, we're helping people, and so why live stream? I believe every decision that we make about live stream and making a live stream ministry should be funneled through this question: is this helping build the viewer's relationship with Christ? Are we helping them draw them closer to Christ? Are we helping them to know more about our Lord? And so every single question is this helping build the viewer's relationship through Christ? We see, why should we live stream? And I want to share a story about a family in our church that were reached through our live stream. The Bocacosa family, they're not in here right now. They've been at the conference one or two sessions, and their story begins in Saskatchewan, and they had moved from the Philippines, I believe, to Saskatchewan. They were living there for a while, looking for a church in the area they were in, southern Saskatchewan, and they weren't able to find anything in the region they were in, and so they kept looking. They knew they wanted to go to a church that believed the Bible. They had the King James Bible, and they were looking. And I asked Mrs. Bocacosa Faye her story, just give her a quick testimony. She sent me this. She says that, as a believer in Christ, it is really hard for me to live in a city without going to church every Sunday and Wednesday. And actually, before coming to Canada, I promised to myself to first find a church before anything else. So in the city where we lived, we couldn't find a Bible Baptist church believer. We found a Baptist church nearby, but they were not using the King James Version, and the doctrines are totally different compared to what we believe. And secondly, we wanted our daughter to be enrolled in a Christian school, and we couldn't find it there. So to make the long story short, we decided to search on YouTube, church specifically in Edmonton, Alberta area, and so they started watching different churches in Edmonton area and different churches, Baptist churches. They're looking for a church to go to, and they're in southern Saskatchewan at this point, looking for a church to go to in Edmonton. And so she says, and with God's guidance, we found and watched this live streaming Sunday service of Cornerstone Baptist Church. Of all the churches we've watched, Cornerstone Baptist Church is our first choice to consider to be the spiritual home to visit and just to strengthen our spiritual growth as a believer in Christ. So after going to church every Sundays and Wednesdays, in less than a year, so they weren't able to go, we've decided to come and be a member of the church to show more support. And so they came, they moved from southern Saskatchewan all the way here because of our live stream. And that's not an isolated story. We've had other stories of people who they started watching our live stream first and started attending afterwards because of the live stream. They saw they were able to get a little bit of toe in the door, toe in the water, I guess, to see what our service was all about, and then they finally decided to come. They got comfortable enough they would want to come. And so just a quick show of hands. let me get a gauge on the state of things here. There's kind of 4 different areas I would say we would put ourselves in. You could say your church has no live stream. Your church has a basic live stream, and that might just be a phone on a tripod, and that's about it. Your church has a live stream with some more professional equipment. You've just gotten started. You got some cameras, and you're starting to use some programs and whatever. And then maybe your church has a developed live stream. So let's start here. Who would say you have no live stream at all? Just one there, okay. Next, we see who has. You just have a basic live stream. You have a phone on a tripod. You have something basic, okay. And then let's say you've kind of purchased some of the more professional equipment. You've gotten started. How many would say you're at that point, okay? And then how many would say you have a pretty developed live stream? Not top tier, but you've really developed it. You've been working on it. Okay, so we've got a mix here. Most of you are in the middle, so that's good. So some of the most common criticisms I've heard about live stream, I've heard some people say in regards to live stream, I don't want to make my live stream so nice that people feel no need to come to church. I don't want people to have the option to stay at home. And, I feel the intent behind these statements is reasonable and innocent, mostly. Christians should be with other Christians. We should have fellowships, and Christians should gather together, but that can't always happen for various reasons. Live streaming isn't meant to replace in-person worship. It's an extension of our ministry reach. Jesus, he met people where they were, and sometimes people can't come to church. Sometimes people aren't well enough. People aren't able to get to church. We need to as well, and we need to be able to offer something that someone who's in surgery, who's at home with their sick child, or someone who's just new to Christianity and they're new to Christ, they're not ready yet to come visit. Jesus met people where they were, and he met them at wells and homes and mountainsides. And Paul, he used letters to reach people. And we've seen throughout history the pattern has been the church has used technology, the available technology of the day, to reach people, from printing press, sending letters, creating gospel tracts, using radio and television, and now in our modern day we have online live stream as another method that we can use to reach people with the gospel. If someone the issue there, people are saying, I'd rather people come to service. I don't want them to get comfortable just staying at home. If someone chooses that convenience over the community, coming to church and being in fellowship, that points to a deeper discipleship issue. It's a deeper issue of the heart. And it's something that, not having a live stream is going to be helpful for. At least they're watching something. At least they're hearing the sermon. They're hearing something. At least they're being a part of that. And it's something that, we'd have to go and as pastors go care for. We see streaming allows us to minister to those who we would never reach otherwise. People who can't go get in a car and drive to church. People are stuck at home. Elderly people, families with newborns, and people who work night shift, and all these different reasons that they wouldn't be able to make it to church. They would be very thankful to have a live stream. And I believe, it's been a help for a lot of our church family when they're not able to make it. They finish work at, 7 p.m. on a Wednesday night. They can't make it to a Wednesday night service. And so I believe it's not in competition with your in-person services. It's a complement to them. It's helping do what you cannot do in an in-person service. And so we're serving shut-ins, we're serving sick members, we're serving those who are on vacation, people who they need some time to go out and rest and go on vacation, but they still want to be fed from the Word of God. They still want to hear the sermon. They still want to be a part of that. And we see one of the more common ones that we're seeing nowadays is people they're looking, they're seeking, they're wanting to know more about our churches before they come. And we've had, I know at least of a handful that have come recently in the past months and year that has said, we came, we've been watching your live stream before we came. And so why invest in quality live streaming? Why invest and put effort into this? Our excellence in ministry extends into digital outreach. Everything that we do for the Lord ought to be excellent. Everything that we do ought to be honoring to Him. We've experienced the biggest shift in communication in over 500 years. 500 years ago, the printing press came about, and churches started to adopt using printed materials as a way to get the gospel out. And we all know that, gospel tracts nowadays, it's so mundane, so ordinary, we couldn't imagine a world without it. But, we've experienced in the last couple decades the biggest shift that we've seen in 500 years of people, how we communicate with people. We can communicate with people across the world. And a good chunk of our live stream viewership, we have many people that watch from the Philippines. They'll watch early morning before church service, or I don't know how the time schedules work, but they'll watch our services. People who know people in our church, and a lot of people from around the region in Canada. And I believe we ought to invest in quality live streaming. Secondly, because poor production can hinder and distract from the gospel message. If you just have a basic live stream, I really want to encourage you, don't leave it at that. Increase the quality that you're giving the people, because if you just put a camera on and your preacher walks off frame, that can be pretty distracting as you're watching at home. It's like, well, what's going on? Why is he walked off stage? And so be aware of that. And especially I would say for my generation and the younger generations, it's very easy for us to get distracted. We're in such an age where there's so many things asking and drawing for our attention. And there's a lot of things, social media is designed to grab your attention. They've figured out, here's how to get someone's attention, and they track it, and they know how to keep your attention. So we ought to do as good a job as we can to keep someone's attention, and that falls into the area of good quality production of our live streams. Colossians 3:23, and whatsoever you do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And as well, why should we invest in quality live streaming? We see first impressions matter for seekers. Some people might see a poorly produced live stream and think, if that's the lack of attention they're going to pay for their live stream, are they going to care for me? Are they going to be, how well are they going to care for me if that's, the quality that they think is all right? And I believe that the proper use of technology can be very helpful in the existing ministry. As we build out your live stream ministry, that also affects, you can have displays here in your auditorium that ties into the same system, and it helps reinforce the message that you're sharing. A photo is 1,000 words, and I was thinking about this week, and in children's church class, I shared about Nebuchadnezzar building the golden image of himself, or whatever it was, and I drew it on the board for the kids in the classroom upstairs, and I asked the kids, how long is a cubit? And so I showed them how long a cubit was, and we started figuring out the dimensions, and I started drawing it, and I said, well, if this guy is a normal size human, and I scaled it, and I drew how many tall it would be for the statue, and the kids, as soon as I started, drawing how big this guy would be, the statue, they were just blown away, like, whoa. That they could see it, and a picture is 1,000 words. That having that part of the live stream media ministry really it can add to your live stream and your digital outreach. And so next, I see the foundation. So we've looked at our philosophy. Why do we live stream? The foundation is our volunteers. You really ought not to start a live stream ministry unless you have someone who's able to take care of it. If you don't, you're going to struggle with those issues of you're walking out of frame, something happens, there's technical issues, and you as a pastor cannot deal with it. You're preaching, you cannot go back and deal with the live stream, and so you ought to look for someone who can you invest in, and look for someone who can take charge of that and take ownership of that. And it has to be done through volunteers. So people who are serving, I believe that basic equipment in the right hands is better than the best equipment in the wrong hands, or no hands at all. Some churches, they spend thousands and thousands of dollars to go get the best equipment, and they have no one to run it. And you were talking about the sound system yesterday, and that church buying $70,000 equipment. I sure hope they have someone that can run it. You need good volunteers who are faithful, and I'll get into that. But the basic equipment in the right hands will be a better result than the best equipment in the wrong hands. And so, the deciding factor on whether you should have a live stream or not is whether or not someone can take care of it, take charge of it, and be faithful to it. Even if you have the budget for it, really think, do I have someone who can take charge of this? This is their ministry, they take care of it. And so, as we think about that, choosing a volunteer, how do we choose volunteers? And this is something, if you're a pastor, you understand this. It's character over competence. Choosing someone who is of good character, rather than someone who, they're the techie guy, but they come to one service a week and that's it. They're not, faithful to the services. It doesn't, matter how good Johnny is at, running the live stream if he's hardly there to serve. So we ought to be choosing those who are faithful, those who are of good character, who you can trust. Look for someone who's detail-oriented and teachable. Someone who notices the little things and they're willing to change and adapt, and they're willing to listen to their pastor. And say, pastor watches the live stream and says, I don't like how this is done, let's do it this way. And they say, yes, sir, let's do it. And that will be a big help to you. Look for someone like that. Consider that technical aptitude, someone who has some of that knowledge, but really prioritize the heart. And so let's see, just a quick timeline, just kind of an idea here, as you're beginning to build out your ministry. In your first month, if you have built your live stream out, you begin training someone, and you have them maybe on a Saturday. You bring them into the church and you say, here, let's run it, let's practice, let's figure this out. And in the first few months, you get them trained up so that they become the one who's able to run it and lead it. But don't stop there. You want to make that person reproduce themselves and pass it on to someone else. And so later on, as they get better at that, you can let them, you choose someone to give them and for them to train. And they start training that person, and then they can eventually hand it off to them, and they can start trading off services, and the one doesn't have to be in every single service running the live stream. And then as you go, you want to keep everyone on the same plane of, here's all the things we know, and bring everyone up to the same level. What we do here in Cornerstone, and we're not perfect at it, and I'm not saying that everything we do is no way to do it any better, but we've been beginning to start training some guys who have very little technical experience, but they're faithful guys, and we bring them in. We have some of our live stream guys who they do it all the time. They're skilled and experienced, and they start training them. And we have we call it the co-pilot position. The guy who runs the main live stream setup, they're the pilot, and then the guy who's the co-pilot, he runs graphics and slides, and he would start training them. And eventually the plan is he's going to be trained into the full, doing everything, cameras and everything else. And then he'll start training someone to do what he was doing. We ought to think about that for longevity, to be sustainable. We see, we ought to build out this team of volunteers. You don't necessarily want to have one person doing all of the live stream every single Sunday, because it's going to distract them from, listening and being sensitive to the message. You're still in the service, but you're distracted by something. You're serving in a way, and so it's good to get them out of that. And so be sure to start developing your volunteers. I know some of us smaller churches, it's going to take some time. It might take a few years. But as you can, look for those who are faithful, and you can expand the ministry to allow that burden to be shared. We see this idea of total ownership. Before working at the church here, I worked in a few manufacturing settings, and I worked in some businesses that, they taught lean manufacturing, lean business work, and if you're ever in a secular world, you understand maybe lean. One of the principles they teach is total ownership. It's saying that, John, who works at this place, this machine belongs to him. It doesn't really, he's not the owner, but when it comes to responsibility, that ownership is on him. And so when you develop your volunteers for the live stream ministry, you need to let go and give them total ownership. Say, hey, David, this is yours to take care of. If something goes wrong, you're the one to figure it out. If there's something that needs to be fixed, I want you to figure it out. And have them take ownership. Partial ownership is no ownership. Because that causes the problem of, I thought so-and-so would do it. I thought so-and-so would take care of that. And, the responsibility is not theirs. No one, if it's partially owned. Total ownership is necessary. Next, we'll get into some of the technical details now. We'll start with software. I believe that will help us, guide us to what kind of hardware we'll eventually buy. And so software, looking at here for our broadcasting software, you have a few options, and if you see here, at the end I'll share a link that you can see all of the notes, you can see all these details here. But we see a few options that I am aware of. We have one that we use, but if you're looking to get started with Livestream, a more advanced Livestream, you can look at some of these softwares. OBS, Open Broadcast Software, I believe it is. It's a free broadcasting program. It works fairly well. It's very basic. I know Red Deer uses it. I know a lot of other churches use it. And so it's great. It's free. It works. Open source, I believe. And then Streamlabs, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I know it's a very popular one for some other people. It does have a monthly cost, about $12.45. It works on Mac and Windows as well as OBS, Mac and Windows. The one we use here at Cornerstone is vMix. And vMix, that cost that you see there, $200 to $1,200, that's a little sticker shock. It looks pretty expensive, but it's a one-time purchase. And it depends on what tier that you get. And also, they do offer nonprofit pricing, so be sure to contact them about that. You can get a free trial. I believe you can get nonprofit pricing for that. We opted for the second highest tier. It gives us some more options and flexibility for some other things, but that's not necessarily needed for everything. Even the lowest tier you can get is very useful. So be sure to look in that. I know Pastor Florin, down in Calgary, he just adopted vMix. And so another one that's very popular, I don't have a lot of experience with, but I know is maybe an industry standard, is ProPresenter. And ProPresenter does have a higher long-term cost, I would say, $289 a year, and it runs on Mac and Windows. Was one thing I missed there with vMix. If you don't have a Windows PC, vMix will not be a good option for you. Only runs on Windows, and you also need to have NVIDIA brand graphics cards for that to run. It uses certain hardware properties there. So there's some options there. An additional software, some other things that we use that aid us and help us in having a live stream that is helpful for those that are watching. We have some various softwares that we use. This one we don't use anymore, but this one was a very useful software for us. This allows us to put Bible verses overlaid on the live stream, and what that looks like. Bob will show. You can create custom templates, but you can create transparency or whatever you want on the lower third. You could have full screen. You could have picture-in-picture, whatever you want to lay it out. And it brings in the Bible verses, and you can control them, go through each one. We eventually abandoned this software, not because it wasn't working for us, but we found an alternative that was a little more flexible, more easier to use. And so I'll get to that one. The way this works, we'll talk about this in a moment, but it works through NDI. NDI it goes over the network. It sends video feed over the network. So The way it works is there's a program open called Bible Show, and it sends a feed out of NDI and then in vMix it receives it as an NDI feed. So you just get the entire feed, and then you overlay it on top of your live stream. Another one that we use now is FreeShow. FreeShow is a newer software, and I would say it is a ProPresenter alternative. I don't know exactly how similar they are, but I know that the man who created it wanted to create something that was very comparable to ProPresenter, that someone who knows ProPresenter could just hop right on and use. It has a lot of features that we don't use, but we use it for the Bible verses mostly. What that looks like for us, here's a picture from our live streams from a few weeks ago during our theme Sundays. And we changed the overlay. You can change it. It could have looked like our old one, but we decided to change it. And this allows us a little more flexibility in positioning and as well as control. We have a device for our co-pilot position that they can control the Bible verses and select them on another device. And so that's just one thing that helps those who are at home be able to see the Bible verses, and those who are seeking, who maybe don't have a Bible, they can see the verses. They know that what the pastor's saying is what is in the Bible. We see that as well, that sends it through NDI, and vMix receives that. You can also use OBS and other softwares to receive NDI feeds. Other ones, common one you're very familiar with, PowerPoint. We use PowerPoints for this slide package right now is running through PowerPoint, but that's built into vMix. vMix can run PowerPoints inside of the program. Another one that we use a lot is BitFocus Companion. If you haven't heard of BitFocus Companion, I would highly recommend you look into this. Brother David, I was talking to you about Stream Deck, was it a few months ago, using Stream Deck and such, and the tablet. And I realized right after that, about a couple weeks after that, I found BitFocus Companion, and it's a free open source software. And what it does, it allows you to create and customize control interfaces that can manage multiple aspects of your live stream. And it has you can lay it out as a single dashboard or multiple pages. It reduces the complexity of operating your live stream. And so if you have a new volunteer who's just hopping on, you can show them how the shortcuts work, and it reduces all the extra options that they could click on by accident. You can control all sorts of things with BitFocus Companion. You can control cameras, audio mixers, streaming software, even lighting. We can control our lighting, stage lighting with it. If we have the right setup in our house lights, we can control the house lights as well with it. Our translation TV there, we can turn it on and off with that. We can turn the computer that's attached to that on and off. We can turn the actual service for the translation on and off. With our cameras, we can also move them, zoom. We can set presets for the cameras with it. It's a free open source software, and a very excellent software. It's making that very easy for volunteers to use, and it really frees up the volunteers' time to do a little bit more of the live stream. So they can, instead of having to focus on cameras all the time, they can have presets set up. And instead of having to focus on the Bible verses, and that takes a lot longer to do it manually, they can do it a lot quicker with some shortcuts. It allows you to, shortcut and hotkey a lot of things that you do, and we have one button back there that really saves us a ton of time. We were struggling with trying to play videos in our service, and playing a video and having the audio come through the sound system and also go onto the live stream and getting on all that. Whenever there was a video, it was like, we'd wait 30 seconds, dead air, waiting for the video to play. And it was, click here, click here, click here, turn the audio on, do this, and it was just a ton of back and forth getting all these different programs set up the way they need to be set up. And we were able to condense it down to one button. You press one button now, and the video starts playing. It starts playing on the TVs here. It plays on the live stream. The sound is all routed correctly. One button press, done, ready to go. So when pastor says, let's play the video, good to go. And so that helps, not distract It helps support the message that's being shared. And so I would really highly recommend this software. It runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, even Raspberry Pi, if you know what that is. It works on phones actually right now for the presentation. I'm using it to control the slides right now. I can do all sorts of things with it. Control panel. One service, we didn't have a video live stream volunteer, so I had to play guitar and run live stream from my seat up here. And that is a possibility with BitFocus Companion. It has really helped us in having that flexibility and being able to do things that we wouldn't be able to do without it. And so really recommend that. Currently, there's over nearly 600 different products and software that connect with it. And you can control all sorts of stuff with it. I could talk on and on and on about it. I really love this program just the last few months, and a really awesome program. It's free, completely free, and it's open source, so it will continue to be free. It should not be turned into a subscription, as often things are being turned into today. And so now, let's get into the hardware, the thing you probably came here for. So let's talk about cameras, let's talk about computers, let's talk about all the hardware. To begin, I believe we look at our system, the hardware, the broadcast computer. And at the end, I mentioned I'm going to share a link about all the notes for this. I'll share a link, a QR code at the end. You can scan to see all my notes. And in the notes, it has links for you to be able to see all the things I'm talking about. So here we see a vMix reference system. You can actually open up this link right now if you like. vMix, our software, our broadcasting software, they are an excellent company based out of Australia, and they have done a lot of testing with various systems and different tiers of systems to ensure that that system will work. So they build out regularly. They'll build out new systems as technology advances, new hardware comes on scene. And so you can go to this website if you're trying to figure out what kind of machine do I need to build to be able to run what I want. And you can go through and look through there. They have the beginning level is a laptop, and they have a certain specific laptop that they have selected. I believe it's $1,600 Canadian for the laptop. Then they have other machines that they've built that you can buy the individual components and build the PC. If you ask around in your church, I'm sure there's got to be someone who has built a PC or knows how to build a PC. Look towards the younger guys. I've built 3 or 4 different PCs at least, and I've rebuilt a few, and so I'm familiar with that. I'm sure there's other guys who can learn how to do it. It's honestly gotten so easy nowadays, it could be comparable to adult Legos. It's if you have the right information, you can plug it all together, it's good to go. And so don't be afraid of that. There's no soldering involved, whatever. But for our system, our computer specs, if you want to scan there, this will take you to a PC part picker. That's a wonderful website if you're trying to build a PC. This will show you all of the parts in our PC. Our PC is priced around $1,600, $1,700 on PC part picker, but we did buy a lot of those components a few years ago. And older components start to go up in price as their availability goes down, so beware of that. I think, if I remember correctly, we paid about $1,000 to $1,200 for our machine. A fairly capable machine. Be aware of looking for sales online. Be watching as you try to build out a machine. Our machine uses an AMD Ryzen 9 16-core processor. We have NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 with 12 gigabytes of memory RAM, or graphical memory. We currently have 48 gigabytes of RAM for the processor. We have a 500 gigabyte SSD. This is probably sounding like gibberish and a lot to some of you, but this, if you're trying to build on this, some of the specs here, this is on the notes as well. And we run Windows 11 Pro for that. Next, for our cameras, and so I would say when you build, before we get to cameras, when you build out your PC, when you build out that computer, consider where you're going to be using it. Some of you have mobile ministries that you need to pack up. Consider either buying a laptop or getting a smaller PC that you can pack up easily and safely. I've seen some vMix setups that The display folds in and into the tower, and it's really cool with all the controllers and everything. That's probably more expensive, but consider what your needs are and build around that. And so for cameras, we opted for our building. It made most sense for the size of building that we have. We opted to use PTZ cameras. PTZ, or if you're from the States, as most people call them, PTZs. PTZ cameras, if you look here in the auditorium, we have 3 PTZ cameras. Currently, that one is recording right now, and then these 2 are not in use right now. But during our services, we'll switch between them. And the PTZ cameras, what that stands for is pan, tilt, zoom. And it gives us those options to be able to pan left and right, tilt the camera up and down, and also zoom in and out. And that gives us a lot of flexibility. It allows us to have one person controlling 3 cameras, moving things around. So as I'm been live streaming this week, I'll get one camera set, and then I'll switch to another camera and start setting it for the next frame. That one there, often I'll pan it as the preacher is walking back and forth. And I'll talk more about camera framing and positioning a little bit. But those give us that freedom. Some of the cameras that we use are from Ada. Ada, I believe they're based out of California. And I would recommend them. I wouldn't say they're the top-end cameras in the world, but I believe the product itself is a good product. Their customer service is very good. I've called up their customer service, and I get the same guy every time. If you watch their tutorial videos, there's some guy, I think he might either be Filipino or Hawaiian, one of the 2. And so I call up and I talk to him and say, hey, it's you again, okay? He's a very, very good customer service experience I found with Ada. And Ada, they have various models. The one you see on the left there is the model that we have. That is a PTZ NDI X20. X20 means the zoom distance. You can go 20 times zoom. NDI is the method of sending the video feed. And so the way these work is there's one cable that plugs into them. You don't have an HDMI cable coming out and a power cable and whatever else you need to plug into it. It's one cable, and that's it. You can use one cable to use it for control. One cable sends the video feed, and it's all over the network. And so I'll talk about how that network is set up in a little bit, but it's a very simple installation process. It provides power, control, and video feed all from one cable. And so it makes it so easy to install. If you're in a mobile ministry kind of setup, this would be a good option for you, as it's just plug it in, unplug it. It's not a lot of complexity to it, and would be very easy for you. And then on the right there is one of their fixed cameras. This camera has just a lens that doesn't have any zoom or pan or tilt capabilities. They're good for fixed position. Maybe if you want one camera in the back that always has a wide shot of the stage that you can go to. We had that for a long time. And they're a lot more affordable. The price range for these, the one on the left there, I believe, is $1,700 or so right now, maybe $2,100 depending on the model that you get. We did get ours on sale. We also did get a grant from the government during the time of COVID. During COVID, there was grants that allowed churches to be able to buy equipment for live stream, and I'm very grateful for that. And we were able to expand our live stream ministry because of that. So be watching for sales. I'll look into maybe if there is any grants available. I doubt right now. But be looking into that and looking at your options. And don't be afraid of looking at used hardware. Used hardware is, for this kind of equipment, generally will be pretty reliable, I would say, because it's not moved around a lot. DSLR that's moving around a lot, that's going to be experience more damage over time. And so one aspect of the cameras as well to note is your resolution. A lot of people want the greatest and latest, and they want the best quality. They want 4K, and 4K is the buzzword. You gotta have 4K. We gotta have 4K. But 4K, that's gonna really bottleneck your system. And honestly, you don't really need it, because the people watching, they're watching on a phone. They're watching on a TV screen that's 10, 20 feet away. And so 1080p is HD. It is plenty enough resolution for your live stream. And if you go 4K, your internet speed has to be high enough. Your local network has to be built well enough that you can handle that much bandwidth. I'll get into all that, but 1080p is perfectly fine. It's good there. And then we'll talk about camera placement here. One thing I see a lot of churches struggle with is placing their cameras. When you place your camera in your auditorium, be sure to keep it above the heads of people in the auditorium, not trying to be negative towards them. Red Deer, when I was down there and for the Good Friday fellowship, we had the camera on the ground, and people kept walking in front of the camera, and some people, I'm very thankful, would duck when they were walking in front of the camera. And eventually, the second part of the service, I said, let's get this up on a table. And we got it up on the table, and we didn't have those issues anymore. And that's another thing. Let's make sure that we support the message and not distract from it. People walking in front of the camera is going to be a really big distraction on the live stream. And so be careful of where you place it. We have placed all of our cameras here at eye level for our pastor. For Pastor Wilkerson, it's a little bit below eye level. And so eye level for our main, our pastor, main person who will, be on camera. And so that allows us to get a very nice shot. Looks very level. If you get too high or too low, it kind of looks a little bit odd. Be careful of that. Also, positioning in the room. As you build out your cameras, your first camera, you want to put it in the back, in the middle. Some churches, they'll put their camera right here, or they'll put it right over to the side, or they'll put it to the side over here, like the tripod phone. They'll put it right there. And if you are ever in a conversation with someone, if they're talking to you right here, you're very uncomfortable, and you have to remember that that's the same. You can have the same feeling on camera. If you're that close in person, you're gonna on a video feed, you're gonna feel a little uncomfortable. So back up a bit and keep it back, and that also gives you more flexibility for other services. If you have weddings, you can get video feed of people walking down the aisle. You can zoom out and see the congregation as they're singing. That gives you some more flexibility, and also just looks better. Put it at the back, in the center, and then as you build out, pick a side, partially up the wall, up the room. So when we put our second camera in, it was about that position there. Our third camera we put in was between those windows, and eventually we decided to move it up closer here so it gets more of a profile shot. And we're still debating if we like exactly how that looks. We're always adapting and changing and improving things, so be mindful. And then be mindful where you mount your cameras. One thing that we struggle with, and I'm looking for a solution, but I don't know what options we have. The back wall there, we share that wall with the nursery. And if you've ever been in the nursery, things can get pretty wild in the nursery. And the kids they're running around, they're throwing balls against the wall, whatever they do in nursery, I don't know. One of the times I went in after service, it was a wild night in nursery, and I was running live stream, and I came in and said, "Man, who won the wrestling match tonight?" And I said, "No, one of the kids they had a toy hammer. They were hammering away, and the walls were just shaking, and we could see it in our cameras." And so be mindful where you place your cameras. That's one thing we're trying to solve. Our building's a bit older. When we have transport trucks go past our building and in the front of the building, the whole building shakes. And sometimes you can see that on the camera. When someone comes in the back door, the building shakes a bit, the wall shakes. So be careful where you place it, be mindful of that. With camera framing, this, what I'm about to share is a very helpful guide from someone online named Brady Shearer. I wouldn't necessarily agree with everything he shares, but again, chew the meat, spit out the bones. A very helpful, knowledgeable guy about church media. And so this is a helpful guide for framing. As you are framing your shots, if you have a PTZ camera, or if you're just picking a few shots with fixed position cameras, First, you have your full shot, and your full shot would be from the subject's feet to a little bit above their head. You don't want to crop it right to the top of the head, because if your pastor says show of hands, you're not going to see the hand. So be mindful of that. And also, if you get Pastor Wilkerson up here, he'll be cropped off. And so be mindful of that. So from the bottom of the feet, with a little bit of headroom, a little bit of space above the head, that's a full shot. The next one, tighter shot from there, is called cowboy. And that comes from terminology from Western films. They would film down to about the knee or mid-thigh, and that was to show off the guns and whatever. And so cowboy shots from mid-thigh up to the same spot above the head, and that gives you kind of a nice shot that you can pan with if you're panning your cameras. Also a good option if you have a smaller auditorium and you don't want a full wide shot. That's an option there for you. And then our medium shot goes from waist up to above the head. And our close shot is about your armpits to above the head, same spot. And so those are some framing helps for you there. Be mindful of also where you place it. I don't have any examples of this, but as you frame a shot, if this is your shot, be mindful of where your subject is and what they're looking at. If you put your subject at the leftmost or rightmost side of the shot, they're over here in the shot, and they have all this space behind them, there's nothing behind them, it's really distracting, all that empty visual space. You want to move that subject to, if they're looking this way, have the one side of the frame behind them and more of the frame in front of them. That keeps, it feels a little more natural, feels a little, it looks a lot nicer. So just some helps there. In the notes, you'll see a larger blog post from Brady Shearer about framing, and some more helpful guides from them. For network, you need to be very careful on what you buy. And you might think, oh, I have a router, I'm good to go. And not every router is the same. Some people have had routers for 10 years and they're outdated. You need to, for NDI cameras like these that have Ethernet cables going into them and sending NDI feed over Ethernet, they require what's called a PoE switch. A PoE switch provides power over that Ethernet cable. And so this one here is an example. I think we have one right above my head here. There's another one above there. There's another one back there that provides a network infrastructure for us here. And you need to be sure that when you buy your switches and you're building out your network, that you get PoE switches if you would like to use NDI cameras. And they're fairly affordable. This one is $40 to $50 on Amazon. And then also you need to make sure that they have the right bandwidth. This is a gigabit PoE network switch, so that provides 1,000 megabits per second of bandwidth. Not internet speed, but bandwidth. And each of these NDI cameras will consume about 100 megabits per second of bandwidth. So be mindful of the network that you have it on, that you don't have a lot of network traffic. You might be doing testing on Friday and Saturday, and it works great, and then people come in, they start using the network, and things start to fail. So you might want to consider having a separate network that you have for your live stream ministry, your media ministry, and how we have it set up here. We have a private network that only Pastor and I have access to, and a few guests, and all of our media runs on it. And then we have a guest network that's separate from it. So be mindful of that as well. For internet speed, for upload, you'll want to get something fairly reliable. For the last few years, we've had 1 gigabit speed internet, download, upload, a little bit less. You don't necessarily need all that. You can go half gigabit. It should be suitable with internet options today if you want to look at Starlink or something if you're a region that's not as well provided with TELUS and routers and whatever. And so be mindful of that. We just recently upgraded to 3 gigabits because it was cheap and it was an option for us. And then next, some control software, control solutions. We see software. You can use a software controller on your computer to control your cameras. We used an Xbox controller for a long time, and in vMix there's a way to map the controller controls so that you can control your PTZ cameras, and we used it. It worked. It was free. Someone donated the controller, and we used it for a long time, and it works great. Sometimes it can be a little finicky. BitFocus Companion, as I spoke about earlier, I have a control panel set up in BitFocus Companion that allow me to pan, tilt, zoom, set presets on the cameras, all that, as well as a dedicated PTZ controller. Now, in a moment, we're going to go back. If you want to come and see our video booth after the session, I'll show you the controller. But the controller has a joystick on it, and a zoom function, and also some preset buttons and some other controls. And they're a little more expensive, but they're very useful and helpful in just freeing up some of your computer display screen or allowing for more precise control. For example, here's some different options with Ada. Ada, they sell this one, is the CCU Mini, and this one sells for about $450 right now. $450 for this. It has a joystick, very good quality joystick, and preset buttons and a few menu buttons. This is very good for a new volunteer. And then another one, this is one we have. This is a CCU IP, and it's is $715. I think we got ours on sale, but different options there. Also, as I talked about BitFocus Companion, what that was built around was these devices. These are called Stream Decks. They come in various sizes. There's a 6-key. We have a few 15-key Stream Decks in our back. The 6-key is about $80. The 15-key is between $140 to $220, depending on the model that you get. As well as the XL version has 32 keys. That one is about $350 right now. But they just released some new options. They have just the modules that is the buttons and displays. And the way these work is each button there's a display behind it, so you can change what's on the display. And when you press it, you can open up a whole new menu and all the buttons change to something else. Excellent product, very helpful. I won't get into it too much. I don't have much more time. But you can also use your tablet or phone, and as I have set up here with BitFocus Companion, I have essentially a Stream Deck Mini right here on my phone. 6 buttons on my phone here. You can lay it out however you want it. I've done it with our sound system. I had to run a funeral, and I had to run the live stream and the sound, and I built out a control panel that gave me just the buttons I needed. Nothing extra. I didn't need EQ and whatever else control-wise. In our current setup, I'm going to quickly show you how it's set up here. So this is our camera feed setup. We have 5 PTZ camera, or 5 NDI cameras. Those 3, as well as 2 one above each piano that lets us get a feed of the pianists as they play. That gives us a good shot for during offertory or during invitation when we want to have a little more privacy in our service. Good option there. And that goes over Ethernet cable via NDI to a PoE switch, and that PoE switch then connects to our router. You should only have one router on your network. Be careful of that, but the PoE switch will help manage that traffic. It goes to our Windows PC, which runs vMix and then broadcasts to YouTube, Facebook, and other destinations. Our audio path, talk to Pastor Friesian more about audio, but we have our microphones, source microphones, goes to our mixer rack in the back, and then from there we have an output from our mixer that goes to what's called a USB audio interface. We have a Steinberg UR22MK2, and that takes the audio coming from our mixer and converts it to a digital signal and then brings it into our computer. We can bring that audio feed into vMix and use it as the audio for the live stream. Future expansion for us, I'd like to be able to mix the audio for live stream more, but we just don't have the volunteers for it right now. So that's how it's set up right now. And then for our displays, this is how it's set up. So our displays, everything that goes on our displays for the most part comes from vMix. vMix has a output option to choose what you want on your displays. You can select one of the displays on your computer as the display for your stage. And then it goes over HDMI to a Blackmagic HDMI to SDI converter. SDI allows you to send video signal over a long distance. HDMI has a limit on how long you can go, so if you have a larger auditorium or your video booth is not close to your displays, you can consider this option. Other options people use is Cat6 Ethernet cables. And then it gets to the back of our TV in SDI, goes to another converter back to HDMI, and then we have a daisy chain that goes to the next TV. We stream to Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, as well as our local network. We have some nursery TVs that use a local network stream, and those turn on as soon as we start live streaming. We can stream to multiple destinations at once using vMix. It allows you up to now 5 different destinations, depending on the version you have, but 5 in our version. And then roadmap here, just a quick outline here. I won't get into too much detail, but we see as you phase 1 getting started, as you build out your live stream, you can get your one camera, an iPhone. You can buy an iPhone 14 right now for about $500 refurbished. And iPhones have excellent cameras on them, great usability, and that about $500 you can get a $125 wireless clip-on mic for just the live stream, not for your sound system, but you could get a wireless clip-on mic, and that would work well for you. And you need to have reliable internet service connection, and you can only broadcast to one destination at a time, and you'll need a volunteer to ensure that it's set up well and good quality. Your phase 2, as you build your foundational system, your estimated cost is about $3,000, depending on what you get and the sales that you get. But you can get a single NDI camera, a fixed position camera. Our NDI PTZ cameras, you can get one of those from Ada for about $1,150 right now. And you can get just a fixed position for a lot less. You need a PoE switch, Ethernet cable, dedicated computer or laptop running some software, maybe OBS if you're wanting something more affordable. You can continue using that microphone and connect it in with your computer if you don't have the money for a digital audio or analog to digital converter for your sound system. Mid-tier, as you go, it'll be an additional maybe $2,250 as you develop out if you add more cameras and upgrade to a better broadcasting software. I'm going to gloss over a lot of this. You can see this in the notes. So we'll continue on here. Phase 4, more advanced system. You might be looking upwards of an additional $5,000 depending on what you want to get. And you can get an additional few PTZ cameras, have a dedicated camera controller, get a desktop rather than a laptop, and you could sell off the laptop. This includes the cost for a keyboard and mouse, additional monitors. Unfortunately, we got our 3 monitors for our computer back there from Canadian Tire of all places, and we got them on clearance for $60 each. That was a good deal, and I bought 2 for my house. So I was like, that's a great deal. I'm never going to find monitors that cheap ever again. So be mindful watching for sales. A lot of the stuff we bought is on sale, so these prices are very high, but be watching for sales. And then also I'd recommend getting a Stream Deck. Stream Deck's super helpful. And then your TVs, $600-700. We go to Costco usually for our displays, TVs. In the building, we find Costco has about the best prices that we can get. Amazon's a good option as well. And then some other details. And Pro Tier system, this is a little more than what we have, but future design that you could go for, in addition to what we have already, is adding people who can mix audio for the live stream. My home church in Ontario, Bethel Baptist Church, their live stream has a separate dedicated room with 3 volunteers that run just the graphics for live stream and just the audio for live stream and controls the cameras just for live stream. And then there's someone in the auditorium that controls sound and someone who controls graphics in the auditorium separate from live stream. So future ways you can think about your long-term where could the Lord take this down the road, and how could we be better using this equipment. Be sure to start small and grow, but have a plan. Don't just buy equipment because it's cheap and it looks good. Have a plan and a roadmap. Say, we're going to go this direction, and I want to use these kind of technologies. This will save you a lot of money in the long run. And invest in quality. You want quality equipment. Don't buy cheap. Buy once, cry once, all right? And also, another important thing, and I think, Brother Friesian, you would agree, invest in your audio quality first. If your audio is garbage, people aren't going to watch the video. If you have poor audio quality, people are going to turn it right off because you're more sensitive to the sound than you are the visual. People will forgive poor quality video more readily than they will audio. Some final tips as we conclude here. The 3 rules of live streaming, and this isn't my rules, these are from vMix. There are 3 rules for live streaming. It's test, test, and test. Test, test, and test again. Keep testing. Test before every service. Test your backup systems, and that's something I haven't gone into detail, but have some backup systems in place that if you have to do something differently, you have a way to do it. With our Bible verse overlay, we have 2 different options. If one stops working, we can go to the other. And test again and document what works. If you know what works, write it down. Some other things here for operational excellence. Have some pre-service checklists. I would say we haven't done all of these things. These are things in our roadmap of things we want to do. But have some pre-service checklists. These are all the things that need to happen before we can go live. And make sure you have that. That way you know that you're ready to go. You're not missing anything. I'll confess, I forgot to turn on the sound before the live stream began this morning. And I had people come and texting on the live stream, hey, there's no sound. And someone from the nursery came, there's no sound. I'm like, oh no, I did it again. And so turn on the sound. Having those checklists will help you avoid that. Create standard practices, ways of doing things that is, works. Train your team. And then, as you build out your system, continue to maintain it. Be sure to dust out your computers, clean your lenses often, as well as look for things you can improve all the time. Every service, and train your volunteers that look for something that you can make easier for yourself. Look for something you can make better. Look for some way that you can improve the experience for the viewer. And as you go, look for those things to continually improve. You might not think that a small improvement's going to matter, but if you do enough of them over time, you will save a lot of time. 2 seconds a day is 740 seconds a year. That's how many minutes? That's 10, 15, somewhere in there minutes. I'm not good at math. But that's a lot of time, and honestly, it's more than 2 seconds you'll save. So be sure to look for things you can improve and do a better job every time. Last few some tips here before I conclude. Learn your preacher's mannerisms. As I've been streaming this week with Pastor Wilkerson, I learned his mannerisms. He'll stop here, and he'll walk over here, and he'll stop here. And so I've learned that, I know where my camera, when I'm panning, where I can stop and be comfortable. Learn your pastor's mannerisms, how he leans, and how, if he's about to say something, learn when he was going to introduce a new slide. Those kind of things, and it helps improve the quality of live stream. As well as the pace of what's happening on camera should affect the switching of cameras. So if you have multiple cameras in your system, you should use them. Switch between them. Attention spans are short, and also it helps create some visual interest. If you're singing a very lively song, start switching a lot. Switching every halfway through the verse, and then at the chorus, and then halfway through the chorus, and start moving it. But if you have a really serious time in the live stream and your pastor is really getting into the invitation, that's not the time to be going switching cameras. It's going to be really distracting at that point. So be mindful of the pacing of what's happening on stage and switch your cameras accordingly. Also, transitions in your auditorium. I try to be careful when I'm turning the choir lights down, that it's during something like a prayer time. That way it's not distracting to people. They aren't looking at it, so it doesn't distract. If you have slides that you have to switch because you forgot, I try to wait until there's something to distract from it to switch if I can. As well as another thing that helps from distracting is always keeping your subject in frame. This is something that I've talked about already, but keep your subject in frame as they walk around. If you're panning or you're using multiple cameras, one of the most distracting things is the preacher walks off camera and you can't see him. So be mindful keeping him in frame. Be mindful of the subject, the person either speaking, singing, preaching, whatever, but also be mindful of what's happening behind them. If you have choir members on stage, try to be sure to position your cameras so that you don't have, Joe who's sleeping on stage in frame, or someone who's just got the most sour face. And so be mindful of that, as well as maybe people walking by if you have bathrooms behind your stage. And then that is it. Let's close in prayer, and I'll pray for the lunch as well. And let's close after. If you have any questions for me, come see me. And also I'll be showing a quick tour of our live stream setup in the back if you'd like to see that. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for this time we've had. Pray you'd help us as we use this technology that you've given to us, Lord, to reach people in our communities. I pray you'd help us to do the best that we can with what you've given us. Lord, help us to be seeking to reach whoever we can in whatever ways, and put as many lines into the water as we can seek souls, reach souls for you, Lord. Pray that you would bless this food to our bodies, Lord. We thank you for it. Thank you for those who prepared it and have helped serve it, Lord. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.